What is going on, everybody? You are listening to Clocked In Sports, and you're clocked in with your boy John Q. And we got a lot to talk about today. Football is back. Football is back, and that is a great sign for a lot of football fans out there. For me personally, I got to chill. My team already played. My team already won the Philadelphia Eagles, so I just got to watch everybody else do their thing, and I didn't have to stress about anything. But today we are clocking in on a Monday, and there's so much to cover. There's so much to talk about, and I know every single person that is watching this probably saw the absolute cinema that we all witnessed yesterday between the Ravens and the Bills, and there's so much to go into. Who are we blaming for this game is the question that we have to start with. Ravens fans probably automatically want to put the blame on Derrick Henry, but I don't think that's fair to him because he was the person that kind of got the game started for y'all as far as the run game goes. The run game was what was mostly dominating in the first half for the Ravens, and Derrick Henry was a big part of that. He ended the game with over 150 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns, and the Ravens on offense had to pretty much play the most perfect brand of football in order for them to win because their defense did absolutely nothing to help them win this game because every time the Bills went to drive, they scored a touchdown. So I don't think it's fair to put the blame on Derrick Henry, and I definitely don't think it's fair to put the blame on Lamar Jackson. He pretty much played as perfect as you could play. No interceptions, good completion percentage, a rushing touchdown, 2 passing touchdowns. He played as good as you can play. But a lot of the credit also has to go to the Bills, has to go to Josh Allen, because Josh Allen actually showed up in a game where it was a high-pressure situation, a game where it was going to be close between another team that you expect to see in an AFC Championship game, and this is going to be a real test for what we potentially get to see later on down the line, because this is going to be the potential matchup that we see in the AFC Championship between the Ravens and the Bills. So this was a good test for Josh Allen, and I think Lamar, considering even though their defense didn't do them any justice, I think Lamar still proved that he can still play efficient and do what he needs to do in these types of games. But if you're a Ravens fan, you do have to be a little bit discouraged because you had the lead going into the fourth quarter, a lead by 15 points at that. You had control of the game, and unfortunately, your defense couldn't put you in a situation where the offense was allowed to make mistakes because that one fumble cost the Ravens the entire game, and it's unfortunate that it had to come to that because the Ravens played an amazing brand of football pretty much the entire game, and the Bills played an amazing brand of football, and I think this is what we're going to expect to see from both of these teams moving forward. So if you're a Ravens fan, I don't think it's time to panic. I don't think it's time to say you're not going to win the Super Bowl, but I also think you need to have some question marks for your defense because they did not help you at all during this game. And if you're a Bills fan, you have to be excited for what you've seen out of Josh Allen. Yes, your defense also did let up a lot with the Ravens' attack on the rush, and a little bit in the past, Zay Flowers actually showed up, and he wasn't in that game last year. People don't remember. He wasn't in that playoff game, and today he showed out in a game that you probably expected him to because the Bills secondary isn't the greatest, so I expect Zay Flowers to actually perform well. But the Bills showed out. Josh Allen, 394 passing, 2 touchdowns. He had a great game. He did what he needed to do, and the Bills ended up getting the win. But I think it's definitely optimistic. Both fan bases should be optimistic moving forward for how they feel about their respective teams. But there's so many other big headlines, but I want to start with the Miami Dolphins. I just had to take a deep breath because losing 33-6 to the Indianapolis Colts, who have Daniel Jones as their starting quarterback. He played so good to the point where people are calling this man Indiana Jones. If I'm a Dolphins fan, I would be absolutely disgusted with the performance I had to watch on Sunday. And if I'm looking back on it from a fan that's not of the Dolphins, it's time to rebuild. It's already week 1. This might be a huge overreaction, but it might be time to rebuild. Tua, it's just not working out. 3 turnovers, didn't do well, didn't really do anything well. Got outplayed by Daniel Jones. Tyreek Hill is frustrated on the sideline. Your star players aren't performing. Your defense definitely didn't perform, even though the offense really didn't put you in the defense in good positions to actually do what they needed to do. But if you're a Colts fan, I would be thrilled with what I saw because the Texans don't look too good. The Titans don't look too good. The Jaguars just beat up on the Panthers, so, I mean, they'll be competitive, but I don't think there's too much to worry about. So if I'm a Colts fan, I'm like, okay, actually we could actually do something in this division. But Miami, what is the plan moving forward? The plan might have to be to trade Tyreek Hill. That might be the only opportunity that the Dolphins have to actually salvage this mess that's going on right now. If they actually want to have a future and they want to do something, Tyreek Hill might have to be the first person that leaves. Because Tua, they've tried to make it work past couple of years. They tried to give him opportunities. He's had injuries. He's had moments where he hasn't been able to play. And you've seen it really doesn't matter who they get. It doesn't matter what running back they have, what receiver they have. It's going to be on the quarterback to actually make those guys look good and make those guys produce. And what we've seen from Tua, that is the absolute opposite of what we're seeing. And it's kind of sad to see because the Dolphins, they're a little bit competitive every year, but they just never can actually get over the hump. So I don't know what the plan is for them moving forward, but if I'm looking at it from the outside, I'm automatically looking at the Dolphins and thinking that they need to rebuild this team. But moving on to another team that was extremely disappointing, and I think a lot of people were expecting them to be disappointing, the Detroit Lions. They lose both of their coordinators. They lose Ben Johnson to the Bears. They lose Aaron Glenn to the Jets. And you could see from the first drive, their first drive on offense, that this Lions team is not going to be the same as it was before. Gibbs, Montgomery, Amon-Ra St. Brown, it just doesn't look the same. It does not look the same. Between Gibbs and Monty alone, they had 20 carries for 44 yards, one of the best rushing attacks in the NFL. And granted, the Packers do have a good run defense. The Packers have a good defense in general, so you don't expect Gibbs to just rush for 150 yards on week one. They just got Micah Parsons. But I'm expecting more than 20 carries for 44 yards between the two of them. That's a disappointment. And if you're looking at the Lions, I think they kind of remind me of the 2023 Eagles in a way. The Eagles lost both of their coordinators. They go into the season. They win a couple games, but you could see that the play calling, it wasn't the same. That the attitude of the players, it wasn't the same. That the way they were able to score on offense, the way they were able to defend, it wasn't the same. And you're seeing the exact same thing with the Lions. The Lions' offense generally looks stagnant. It doesn't look the same. It doesn't look as exciting, as flashy. They're not getting as many yards. Goff is doing more checkdowns. He's not doing the deep balls. He's not doing that. And I'll give them time because they have to adjust. They have to, change up the play calling. The offense coordinator has to get adjusted. It's not going to automatically, be firing on all cylinders week one. But I still think they have to look and figure out a way to make this offense what it used to be, a little bit more exciting, a little bit more flashy, because that's what we've seen from the Lions offense. You got to get everybody involved, and everyone has to be able to produce in order for this Lions team to be good. And if you're looking at it, the Packers look very good. We're going to see how the Bears look. We're going to see how the Vikings look. But this division is going to be competitive. So the Lions actually have to put in the work, and they actually have to lock in if they want to win this division again, because the offense was not looking good, as well as the defense, because in the first half, Jordan Love was doing whatever he wanted to do, and the defense, Packers defense in general, was getting pressure. So the Lions really have to look back and see how they can replicate what they did without the two coordinators that they lost. And I honestly think Aaron Glenn with the Jets doing a pretty good job based on what we saw against the Steelers. And we'll see how Ben Johnson does with the Bears, but I expect him to play well. I expect him to do it, make the Bears offense better, make Caleb Williams actually look like, a first-round pick, first overall pick. But that's to be desired. We'll see how that plays out. But I think the Lions will be fine. They'll make the playoffs. They'll win enough games to do what they need to do. But they still need to find a way to make this offense look better, because right now it is not looking great. But Aaron Rodgers, let's turn the page a little bit. Aaron Rodgers with the Steelers. I was actually impressed. I was very impressed with what I saw from Aaron Rodgers. I definitely owe him an apology because I made a video saying, why did the Steelers sign Aaron Rodgers? Why would they sign somebody this old? But they actually showed out. Aaron Rodgers, 4 touchdowns, good completion percentage. He looked good. He didn't look like he was 40. Looked like he was about 25. Looked like his old self. And I think the Steelers, they have a lot to hang their hat on. And they, based on what they saw against Baltimore, yes, Baltimore's offense looked good. They scored, but the defense didn't look that great. So if I'm the Steelers, I'm like, okay, we could probably hang with the Ravens. If I'm looking at the Bengals, I'm like, we can hang with the Bengals. Definitely hang with the Browns. So I think the Steelers are looking at another, 9-10 win season, their typical season. But I think they're more on like the 10-11 side, if I'm being honest. And I think they have a good base to go off of this first game. They have some confidence, and going into these next couple of games, I think they'll have that confidence and it will build throughout the season. And Aaron Rodgers, we got to give him credit. We can't say he's old. We can't say anything because he showed out. And I'm also extremely impressed with Justin Fields. Jets debut, 16 for 22, 218, a touchdown, 3 total touchdowns on the day. And Justin Fields is somebody that a lot of people doubted. He's somebody that, when he signed to the Jets, this is not going to work out. This is going to be another Jets quarterback that doesn't work out. But when I sit back and I watch the game, I'm like, Justin Fields, you actually showed out. You actually did what you needed to do, and you helped your team. You put them in good positions. You didn't turn the ball over, because that was the thing with Justin Fields. He would turn the ball over. He would be doing, dumb stuff that would cost the team the game. And granted, it's only week 1. I'm not trying to overreact and say that Justin Fields is the franchise quarterback, because as we go throughout the season, we'll see if he's really the franchise quarterback. And obviously injuries play a big factor into everything. So we're going to see how these quarterbacks actually show out when it matters. But I'm actually impressed. This was probably a game that this is a game that I thought was going to be low scoring. This is a game I thought the quarterbacks weren't going to play well, but Steelers played good. They look good. Jets played good. They look good. So if I'm a fan of either of these teams, I'm actually kind of excited for the future. Even if you're a Jets fan, you're looking at it, man, we lose. We have no luck. Of course we lose to the Steelers. But I would actually be happy and excited, because there's a way that y'all can actually get second in the division. The Bills, I think we can all agree Bills are division winners. Miami looks terrible. They'll probably be the worst team in that division. The Patriots, they didn't look the best, but they also didn't look woeful. So I think if you're a Jets fan, you should be excited and look at this division and be like, maybe we can get second. Maybe we can actually do something here. So if I'm a fan of either of those teams, I'm actually excited, and I wouldn't get too mad about losing against the Steelers. But before we get out of here, this is the ending segment that I like to call Clocked In and Clocked Out. Every week for the remainder of the season, we are going to highlight 3 teams, players, offenses, defenses that we feel like were impressive, that we feel like are trending upwards, clocked in. And then we're going to talk about 3 teams, players, offenses, defenses that are looking not so good, clocked out. So for the 3 clocked in members, for the first one, Daniel Jones. Let's give him a round of applause, because personally, I did not think Daniel Jones was going to do what he did, especially against the Dolphins. I'm going to be honest. Daniel Jones, to me, he's not a franchise quarterback, but he is still that bridge quarterback that can get you a couple wins here and there. And he necessarily wasn't that bad for the Giants. It just wasn't working. They had no offensive line. They had no real weapons. They had no real rushing attack. So did Daniel Jones have anything good to work with? No. But you see with the Colts, decent offensive line. Shane Steichen as the play caller. Jonathan Taylor. He actually has receivers. So maybe Daniel Jones actually is the answer for the Colts, and maybe he isn't. But Shane Steichen, he made a good call making Daniel Jones a starting quarterback, because I think if Anthony Richardson's in that game, I don't think they win that game, honestly. Even as bad as the Miami Dolphins looked, I don't know if he finds a way to win that game. But Daniel Jones, he did what he needed to do. He didn't turn the ball over. And I can't say the same about Anthony Richardson. I don't know if Anthony Richardson was actually going to go into that game and not throw 3 interceptions, because that's what he's prone to do. So I think Daniel Jones deserves a lot of credit. And, of course, we got to give credit to Aaron Rodgers. He's the second person in the clocked-in category, because Aaron Rodgers was doubted by me. He was doubted by the media going to the Steelers on a 1-year deal. People saying, he's too old. This is going to be another wash season for the Steelers. But from what I saw, they actually look like they have potential moving forward. So I think Aaron Rodgers deserves credit, because he did receive a lot of hate with the Jets, and he received a lot of hate in the offseason. And granted, it's only week 1. It's early, so we can't just jump the gun and say, Aaron Rodgers is the future or whatever. He's only going to be here for 1 season. He already said that. This is his last season. Boom. But we still got to give him a lot of credit for what he was able to do. And, of course, the last member of the clocked-in category, it has to be the Buffalo Bills. They ended the night off with a crazy, crazy game, and they hung in there. They hung in there with the Ravens. They were down, and, of course, they could have wavered and they could have, given up on the game, but they stuck through it, and they beat the Ravens. As simple as that. The Ravens had the opportunity to take that game away, and the Bills literally grabbed it and brought it back and said, nah, we're going to win this game. And this game is going to mean a lot moving forward. As far as seeding goes, this game is going to matter. This game is going to matter for seeding. I'm telling you, when Week 17 comes and there's a game difference between the Ravens and the Bills, this game right here is going to be the decider. So it was important for the Bills to win this game. It was very, very important for the Bills to win this game. So shout out to the Bills for that. But moving on to the clocked out category. We're going to start off with the Lions offense. Now, I did say that the Lions are going to be fine. They're going to figure it out. But it is still a little bit alarming to see against your division rival in your division, a team that you're going to be competing with to win the division, and that's how you come out and that's how you look. It is a little bit alarming. It's not good to see how Gibbs was playing. It's not good to see how Jared Goff was playing. It just wasn't a good display in general, and I think most people can agree. I think Lions fans can even agree with that. So I think for that reason, the Lions offense is just trending a little bit downwards, but I think moving forward, they'll be able to figure it out, and they'll be fine. A team we even haven't talked about yet. A team we haven't even talked about yet that is making this clocked out segment, clocked out, and that's the Giants. The Giants looked absolutely terrible. Terrible. Russell Wilson, he had some flashes of his old self with Seattle, but he also had some flashes when he was on the Broncos that one season. He thought he was Lamar Jackson. He thought he could run in the end zone, fumble. They were in the red zone twice, couldn't score. Malik Neighbors is frustrated, and this is looking like a recipe of Jackson Dart's going to be starting by week 6. Giants will probably have another high pick in the top 10, and I wouldn't be too excited with Malik Neighbors because if he's going to continue to having this attitude, it's not his fault, but eventually it's going to boil over. The fans are going to get tired of it. The media is going to get tired of it. And potentially whatever coach ends up coming in, because if the Giants have a bad season this year, Brian Daboll needs to get fired. And it sucks and it's sad, but this is just how the business goes. Brian Daboll needs to get fired if the Giants have another season below 500, and it's probably going to end up happening. And whatever coach ends up coming in is probably not going to be putting up with Malik Neighbors having an attitude. And this might be another Odell Beckham situation where the best player on the Giants ends up leaving because he just becomes frustrated with the team. And I think we're seeing that with Malik Neighbors. So because of that reason, the Giants are trending downwards this week, and they're going to be clocked out for me. And the last clocked out person for this category is Bryce Young and the Panthers. I didn't see any progression. I didn't see any difference from the last year's Bryce Young. And it's only week 1. It's, this could be an overreaction, but I think the Panthers are on their way to having another bad season. I hate to say it, but they have no real weapons on offense. They traded away Adam Thielen. Chuba Hubbard is a good running back, but he's not a needle mover. T-Mac is going to be very good. But a rookie receiver alone is not going to be good enough to get you to that next level, especially in your division. And their division, the NFC South, that division is typically, those teams are, 9-win teams, 10-win teams, the teams at the top. The Bucks, the Falcons, those teams are typically, the division winners. But if I'm looking at this Panthers team, I don't see any real way that they could even compete for this division. I don't think anyone was thinking that anyway, but you can only score 10 points against the Jaguars. Not saying the Jaguars are, bad team by any means or they have a bad defense, but it just didn't look inspiring if I'm a Panthers fan. Bryce Young wasn't looking exciting. There was a delay in this game, so that might have played a factor into it of, the team not being fresh or whatever, but Bryce Young just didn't look like he's going to be the future. It's only week 1. I don't want to overreact, but I'm just talking about based on what I saw in week 1. I'm not trying to, say that Bryce Young was a bad quarterback because we saw flashes of what he was able to do, but it just doesn't look good. It doesn't look good, and I don't know if he's going to be the future, but it's still a lot to be desired. And this week 1, it was amazing. It's great to have football back. It's great to see football again. You know how it goes. Every year, football season comes. It goes by like that. Then Super Bowl's here, off season, and then it's back again. And we are back in the swing of things. So expect an episode weekly to recap whatever week of football has gone through. And, of course, we're going to do previews of games for week 2 because week 2 has an amazing slate. Eagles and Chiefs. We already about to get a preview for that. You already know what time it is. Commanders and Packers play on Thursday night, so that's going to be an exciting game. But we're about to get out of here. We are about to clock out. But if you're watching this on whatever platform you're watching this, just make sure you like, make sure you share, make sure you subscribe. It's going to be a lot of exciting stuff to come in the future. And of course, just continue to support, continue to watch, because it's going to be an amazing season and there's so much stuff to cover. But I appreciate everyone out there for listening to this edition of Clocked In Sports with John Q, and we are about to clock out.